You are not here by accident. Every trial you've faced, every tear you've cried, every silent battle you fought in the dark, none of it was meant to destroy you. It was the fire that shaped you, the divine test that revealed who you truly are. If you are hearing this right now, it is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Heaven has placed a mark on you that no one can erase. You are not ordinary. You are chosen. And with that calling comes a force so rare, so powerful. The world cannot see it, but it can feel it every time you enter a room. Today we are going to uncover the truth they never told you, about the divine power inside you, the power that can shift destinies, open impossible doors, and silence every voice that ever doubted you. And when you reach the final word of this message, you will not, you cannot, look at yourself the same way again. So if your spirit is already stirring as you hear this, stay with me until the very end. This is for you. Give this video a like right now. Subscribe if you haven't already. And comment 99 below. Because 99 is the number of completion, the sign that what God started in you, He will finish. The world may not recognize it, but there is a light in your eyes that speaks of eternity. It is not the kind of beauty that fades with time or depends on what you wear. It is something deeper, something eternal. It is presence. It is authority. It is divine essence wrapped in human form. People might look at you and sense something, but they won't be able to explain it. They will mistake it for confidence, for mystery, for luck. But in reality, it is the evidence of heaven's hand on your life. And here's the truth. This is not something you learned. It is not a skill you acquired. It is not a reward for good behavior. It was woven into your soul before you ever took your first breath. Before you opened your eyes for the first time, God had already written His signature across your spirit. That signature is your mark. This mark is why you've always felt different, even in a crowded room. It's why you've never been able to completely blend in, no matter how much you tried. There is a frequency in your spirit that doesn't match the noise of this world. You see, God gave you a discernment that goes beyond appearances. You don't just hear words, you feel the truth behind them. You see the cracks in masks that others believe are flawless. You catch the spiritual atmosphere of a place before anyone else notices something is off. You carry a vision that cuts through illusions, a lens that makes it impossible for you to be deceived for long. You can feel when something is not aligned with your spirit. You can sense when someone's intentions are pure, and when they're hiding shadows behind their smile. And while the world is easily fooled by appearances, your heart has been trained, by fire, by pain, by divine whispers, to feel what others ignore. And yet, here's the paradox. This mark is invisible to most. The majority of people you meet will never fully understand who you are or why you carry this energy. They may underestimate you, or they may fear you without knowing why. But to the few who are meant to walk this path with you, to those who are divinely aligned with your journey, this mark is undeniable. They will recognize it not because you tell them, but because their spirit responds to yours. It's a connection that needs no explanation. There's a reason your path has been selective. The truth is, not everyone can handle the weight of your calling. Your light exposes what others are trying to keep hidden, and your very presence can make some uncomfortable. That's because the mark you carry is a threat to the darkness they've learned to live with. They can't name it, but they feel it. It is the echo of heaven's authority resonating through you. And this is why some people have left your life without explanation. They didn't leave because you lacked something. They left because they could not stand in the presence of what you carry. The invisible mark on you reveals things they aren't ready to face in themselves. It calls them to change, and not everyone wants transformation. But here's the secret you must understand. This mark is not just about identity, it's about purpose. God didn't place it on you so you could be admired. He placed it on you so you could be set apart. It is the seal of your assignment, the invisible banner that declares you belong to the kingdom and that you walk under divine orders. That is why certain doors will open for you without explanation, and others will slam shut even when you wanted them open. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Your mark determines where you can go and where you must not go. So when you look in the mirror, understand that you are looking at more than flesh and bone. You are looking at a vessel chosen before time began. Every flaw you think you see is irrelevant to God's plan. Every weakness you've tried to hide is just another space where His glory can shine through. And while most of the world will never truly see your mark, there is one who sees it perfectly. He's the one who placed it there. And when the appointed time comes, that mark will speak louder than your words ever could. It will open the right doors, align you with the right people, and position you exactly where heaven intends you to be. The question is, what happens when the world finally begins to notice? What happens when the invisible becomes undeniable, and the calling you've carried in silence is suddenly placed on display for all to see? That moment is closer than you think. Chosen women do not rise without storms. No crown of purpose is placed upon a head that has never bowed under the weight of pain. Your hardships were not random. They were not bad luck. They were not meaningless tragedies. Every moment of betrayal, every crushing loss, every lonely night where you cried into your pillow, these were not punishments. They were the furnace, the sacred fire in which heaven forged the steel of your spirit. You see, gold is never pure until it passes through flames hot enough to strip away every impurity. And your calling, it demanded a purity that could not be achieved without the fire. What others saw as your breaking point was actually your becoming. Every time you thought you couldn't endure another blow, God was teaching you endurance. When the people you trusted most turned their backs, He was showing you who could walk with you into the next chapter and who could not. When you faced losses so deep they left a hollow ache inside your chest, heaven was carving out space. Space for the blessings, the wisdom, the authority you would one day carry. While others crumbled under the pressure, you were learning how to carry spiritual weight. You learned that not all battles are fought with hands. Some are fought with your knees on the ground and tears streaming down your face. You learned that silence can be more powerful than shouting. You learned how to keep walking when your heart wanted to stop. And because you kept moving, because you refused to quit, something unshakable was built inside you. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you have survived wars most people don't even know exist. You have walked through fires that left no visible burns, but seared your soul with unteachable wisdom. Every scar holds a story of a night you thought would never end. And yet, here you are. The enemy tried to bury you in shame, in fear, in hopelessness, but the grave he dug for you became the ground where your roots went deeper. Do you know why the refining process feels so violent? Because what God is preparing you for is weighty. Ordinary assignments do not require extraordinary preparation. But your mission is not ordinary, it is eternal. And eternal missions require a strength that is not found in comfort. If you had been given an easy path, you would not have the depth you have today. You would not have the discernment to see danger before it strikes. You would not have the resilience to stand when others fall. There is something about surviving storms that changes your posture. You no longer panic at the first sign of trouble because you've been in the middle of the hurricane before. And you've seen God still the winds. You've been shipwrecked in the dark. And you've seen Him send light to guide you home. Your faith no longer lives in the realm of theory. It is battle-tested, proven, and immovable. The storms also revealed something you could never have discovered in seasons of ease, the supernatural resources hidden inside you. You didn't know you could forgive until you were betrayed. You didn't know you could rise until you were knocked down. You didn't know you could speak life into others until you yourself had walked through the valley of death and found your voice again. These are not talents. They are weapons forged in fire. And here is the truth most people will never understand. The fire didn't just change you, it branded you. It left a spiritual mark that heaven recognizes and hell fears. Every trial you endured added weight to your authority. When you speak now, it carries a depth that only comes from lived pain. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because of your title or position, but because you carry the evidence of survival. So the next time you look back on those seasons you begged God to end, remember this. The very fire you prayed would stop was the same fire shaping you into someone who could carry what is coming next. Without it, you would not be ready. And make no mistake, you are being prepared for something. Every storm you've weathered was not just for survival, it was training. But here is the question that lingers in the shadows. If the storms behind you were this intense, what must the magnitude of your future be, that heaven deemed this level of refining necessary? The answer is closer than you think. The world will try to measure you by beauty, wealth, or influence. They will try to sum up your worth in numbers, in likes, in followers, in what they can see and touch. But the truth is, your value is beyond the reach of any human scale. It is eternal, unshakable, and untouchable. It is not rooted in what you have, but in who you are. And who you are was decided long before the world ever formed an opinion about you. Your power flows from your connection with God, from the deep well of your spirit, from the unshakable truth that you belong to a higher kingdom. It's a power that doesn't come from status or position. It comes from alignment. When heaven moves, you move. When God speaks, you listen. And when He sends you, nothing, no opposition, no barrier, no enemy can stand in your way. This power doesn't just change you, it changes everyone you touch. Even those who don't believe in God will feel something when they are in your presence. They won't have words for it, but they will feel their own hearts stirring, their thoughts shifting, their walls beginning to crack. You are a walking atmosphere changer. You don't have to force it, you don't have to prove it. It simply is. There have been moments when you walked into a place and the conversation suddenly shifted, when someone who was ready to quit suddenly found new strength, when tension in the air dissolved without you saying a single word. That's not coincidence. That is the power of the divine within you, the same power that raised you up from your lowest moments and made you into a vessel heaven can trust. This is why the enemy fears you. You are not dangerous because of what you own. You are dangerous because of what you carry. You are a carrier of truth in a world addicted to lies. You are a beacon of light in places that have grown comfortable in darkness. And the enemy knows that when you step fully into your calling, the ripple effect will be unstoppable. But here's what you need to understand. This power isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need validation. In fact, much of its strength comes from its subtlety. While the world chases attention, you carry influence that works in silence. Like seeds planted in hidden soil, your presence sows change in hearts long before the harvest is visible. And because it cannot be measured, it cannot be stolen. People can take your possessions, they can strip away your titles, they can shut doors you thought you needed, but they cannot touch the source of your power. You could lose everything in the eyes of the world and still stand taller than ever, because your foundation is not built on sand. It's built on the eternal rock of God's purpose for you. This is why heaven defends you with such force. You've been in situations where you didn't even know danger was near, but something, or someone, intervened. You've had enemies plot against you, only to watch their plans collapse before they even began. You've had people speak against you, yet their words never found their target. That's because heaven is fiercely protective of those who carry what you carry. Your mission is too important, your impact too vital, for it to be left unguarded. Understand this. When you walk in alignment with God, you are not just living your life, you are advancing a kingdom. And kingdom work always attracts both divine favor and spiritual resistance. The more you embrace this truth, the more unstoppable you become. And yet, here lies the mystery. If your power cannot be measured by the world, how will the world ever understand what is about to happen when that power is fully unleashed? That is a revelation we are about to step into next. Your moments of fragility were never a sign that you were weak. They were the doorway to a deeper, unshakable power. The world has taught us to hide our tears, to cover our wounds, to pretend that nothing can touch us. But chosen women know a truth that defies the logic of this world. Your greatest strength is often born in the moments you feel most exposed. It was in your tears that you learned trust. Not trust in people who can change their minds, but trust in the one who never changes. In those nights where your chest ached from silent sobs, when no one came to comfort you, heaven drew near. You may not have seen it, but every tear you cried was counted, gathered, and turned into a seed for your next season. Those moments did not make you smaller. They expanded the territory of your faith. It was in your silence that you learned to hear God's voice. You discovered that His whispers are often drowned out by the noise of the world, and it took the stillness of isolation for your spiritual hearing to sharpen. The absence of applause taught you to stop living for validation. The quiet spaces became holy ground, where you learned that the strength you need is not found in the roar of the crowd, but in the gentle, undeniable confirmation of His presence. And when you felt like breaking, heaven was building you. You thought you were falling apart, but really, you were being rebuilt from the inside out. The pieces you thought were lost forever were rearranged into something stronger, purer, and more resilient than before. Vulnerability became the forge where your courage was shaped. You learned that strength was never about never falling. It was about always rising. About getting up when your knees still shake. About showing up when your heart still hurts. About moving forward when the future looks uncertain. That resilience, born out of vulnerability, is what sets you apart. It is what makes you a threat to every force that tries to keep people bound. But here's the paradox. Your vulnerability is also your greatest weapon. When others see your transparency, it gives them permission to drop their own masks. Your story becomes a mirror in which they can see their own wounds and their own potential for healing. Your openness doesn't make you fragile in the eyes of heaven. It makes you powerful beyond measure. Because only the one who has walked through the fire without losing her soul can guide others safely through it. The enemy has always tried to convince you that your broken moments disqualify you, that your mistakes, your doubts, your seasons of fear make you less worthy. But the truth is the opposite. Those moments have qualified you in ways nothing else could. They have given you compassion that cannot be faked, wisdom that cannot be taught, and authority that cannot be bought. Think about it. How many people have found hope simply because you were willing to share the moments you almost gave up? How many lives have been lifted because your story told them they weren't alone? That is the quiet revolution of a chosen woman. She turns her private battles into public breakthroughs for others. And now, the same vulnerability that once made you feel exposed has become the very thing that shields you. It has built in you a trust so deep that even in the midst of chaos, you remain anchored. You know who holds your future. You know who redeems your past. You know that every single wound can become a well of living water for someone else. But here is the mystery that still remains. If such power can be born from your weakest moments, what might happen when you embrace that truth fully and step into a life where you no longer fear being seen? The answer is waiting, just beyond this next revelation. Chosen women know that rushing ahead is not the way. You've seen too much, felt too much, and learned too deeply to believe that faster is always better. You have lived long enough to understand that some doors can open too soon, and when they do, they become traps instead of blessings. You know now that not every opportunity is divine, and not every yes is safe. That is why you've learned to trust the perfect timing of God, knowing without a shadow of doubt that what is truly yours will find you, but only when you are ready to carry it. Every delay was divine protection. The moments you thought you were being overlooked, you were actually being hidden, shielded from battles you weren't meant to fight yet, from connections that would have drained you, from stages that would have crushed you under their weight. You didn't see it at the time, but God was placing you in the shadows so your roots could grow deep, so that when the spotlight finally finds you, you will not wither under its heat. Every no you've ever heard was a redirection. You thought it was rejection. You thought it was loss. But the truth is, heaven was closing paths that would have led you into storms you were never meant to face. God does not say no to punish you. He says no to protect you from the counterfeit, to guard you from detours that look good, but lead to ruin. And so you walk with patience, not because you are slow, not because you lack ambition, but because you are certain. Certain that the same God who called you will also position you. Certain that the promise will arrive on time, not a second too soon, and not a second too late. You've learned to move at the pace of peace, to listen for the rhythm of heaven instead of the frantic beat of the world. There is a power in patience that most people will never know. When the world tries to rush you, you stand your ground. When others panic because they can't see results, you rest in the unseen work of God. You know that miracles often grow in silence, that breakthrough is being formed in the hidden places long before it bursts into the open. And because you wait, you are being prepared in ways you can't yet see. Your heart is being refined. Your discernment is being sharpened. Your faith is being anchored so deeply that nothing, no storm, no criticism, no temptation, will be able to uproot you when your moment comes. And make no mistake, when the appointed time comes, you will not step into it timidly. You will not arrive half-prepared. You will walk into that season carrying the full authority only a chosen woman can bear. You will stand in rooms you once dreamed of entering, but this time you will stand with the wisdom to know exactly why you are there. You will receive what you have been promised, not as a desperate beggar, but as a rightful heir. This is why the waiting season is not wasted. It is the very reason you will be unstoppable when the moment arrives. Your waiting has made you dangerous to the enemy because it has stripped you of the need for instant gratification. You are no longer easily baited by shortcuts or distracted by what sparkles. You know the real thing, and you will settle for nothing less. And here's the quiet truth. While others have spent years chasing everything, you have been positioned to receive the one thing that matters most. That is why, when your appointed time finally arrives, it will not be a gentle shift. It will be a divine unveiling. But the question is, what happens when heaven's clock finally strikes your hour and every hidden thing God has been preparing is suddenly released in full force? That is where the story turns. Now that you know what's inside you, there is no turning back. The veil has been lifted, the truth has been revealed, and you cannot return to who you were before hearing this. You were never meant to blend in. You were created to disrupt the atmosphere, to shift the spiritual climate wherever you go. You carry something this world cannot manufacture, cannot imitate, and cannot destroy. You are heaven's